Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Is there anybody you're dying to interview that you haven't interviewed yet?
Yes, I'd like to interview Elizabeth Taylor, because I wrote a book called Men Are Just Desserts, and I figured she knows more desserts than any woman in the universe, and I'd love to hear about it.
Bette Midler. I'd love to interview Bette Midler.
Oh, I've interviewed Bette Midler.
She's wonderful.
How about you, Jane?
Idi Amin. I have
Idi Amin, sure, why not?
Idi Amin, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, probably not for this show. For this show, who else? There's a ton of people. We have a list 25 long.
Baker. Was she real honest and real heart?
I liked her. Yeah. But I guess I like everything. No, you're driving me crazy. No, come on. Honestly, I'd love to.
Margaret Thatcher.
Yes. Margaret Thatcher would be wonderful.
Princess Diana.
Princess Di. Right. Well, all these people are here, and we'll bring them out after we... We are in New York City with 6 of the most beautiful and talented people on television, and we'll be back in just a moment. Yeah, are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to congratulate Joan for having the best morning talk show that I've seen in a long time. And I'd like to ask her... why she didn't show up for the Arsenio Hall show when she was scheduled in December.
Get through, Harry.
Why is it that she didn't show up for the Arsenio Hall show when that was taped in December?
What?
Why is it that you did not show up for the Arsenio Hall show when you were scheduled in December?
I had what they call Vegas throat. I have a very bad problem with my throat, and I got Vegas throat, and there was a choice of either doing one show at night or doing Arsenio's during the afternoon. And I found Arsenio. I put him on the first Tonight Show. I put him on the first Fox show. I made him the first guest host. I said they should use him when they fired me. We'll talk about firing. And so I felt that he was a good enough friend when I called him. I said, I can't do your show. And he said, fine, no problem. That's why. I'll go back again when I go out there next time.
I would just like to ask, has anybody had a really embarrassing moment on air that was hard to put back together?
Go ahead.
When I asked, we do 2 shows back to back, and I asked Matt Frewer of Dr. Doctor, that terribly funny comedian, a question that was from the first guest, Michael Murphy. At the very end, I said, so, tell us about your Korean jet line movie. And he
started screaming.
He couldn't believe it, and I kept going with it. I didn't realize it. I said, well, was it a feature or TV? And I wouldn't let the poor guy off the hook, and then it was like leaving.
I laughed.
And I realized I was so tired that I just got confused. It was in the beginning, and it was very funny. He almost died.
Yeah. We get a
I was very embarrassed.
On a regular basis.
Do you?
Oh, yes. Actually, I think, again, that CNN is testing me. It's to see whether or not I can actually get through this without flinching, moving an eyebrow and eyelash. I have now become desensitized and asked my producer to get the guy's number just in case I don't have a date on a Saturday night. But it is just fascinating sometimes having to sit there and listen. What do I do about it?
The obscenity
I
goes
say,
over
let's
CNN?
take the call from Milton in North Carolina. That's what I do about it.
But it does go over the air.
Yes, it does. I heard one.
See?
Really?
Oh, what did he say?
I'll tell you later, Joan.
What did he say?
I'll tell you later.
I, of course, had to have it translated for me.
This is for Linda. I love you on Another World.
Thank you.
And I want to know, is Mitch as sexy as he appeared to be?
Yes, actually, he's not bad, yeah. He's a very nice guy, and we've worked together now a couple of years, yeah. So we've become great friends. I'll tell him you asked. Yes, I shall.
Let me remind this audience what it already knows, and that is that Jane Wallce left CBS News after the uncertain future and fate of West 57th. What a disappointment that was. You were very proud of the show, and so was CBS. I don't know what was,
Well,
you know,
they didn't cancel until a year after I left.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it didn't...
Yeah, it was a great show. It's unfortunate they chose not to continue it.
Now, this, you're all by yourself. You have less. You don't have a lot of vice presidents in suits and ties and...
No, in Lifetime, there's hardly any suits at all. They're mostly in dresses.
Really? Well, isn't that interesting?
Even the guys? Yeah, we have token guys, yeah.
Maybe that explains why they won't call me back. Yeah. I want to show them you at work. Here's the Jane Wallce Show, Lifetime Cable. Here is Jane, whose credentials as a news person are considerable. And here she is talking this is the kind of thing that's happening in daytime television about which the people who make their living in this time schedule should be very proud. Watch this.
Let me ask you the question that I know at least 85 viewers at home are leaning into their set saying, why doesn't she ask this? Why in the world did you take crack when you were pregnant?
I don't know. It was crazy. I started at the wrong time. I was 2 months when I realized that I was pregnant already. And still I kept going. I was out of control.
Were you already addicted before you became pregnant?
Yes.
Were you using sex as a way of keeping yourself supplied with drugs?
No. I had money and I stole things. I did anything I could to get the money besides that.
But then once you knew you were pregnant, what was your thought process like each time that you would use crack?
I thought about it. I knew it was wrong, and I still continued to do it because I just got out of control. I couldn't handle it.
And even the thought of having your own children didn't stop you from it?
No, it didn't.
Mm-hmm. That's very, very substantial stuff, and it's the kind of material that you'll find on all of the shows that bear the names and the images of these talented people who are with us today. And yes, we should say that you all make your living in the daytime. You're a long way from soaps and games, folks. And you're doing very well at it, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you there? I'm glad you waited. Caller, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Domestic violence is a common issue that you've all done a remarkable job covering. And I just wanted to tell each of you to please keep up the good work. You're helping more battered women than probably any of you realize.
Here's an awful statistic that we discovered one day after the Charles Stewart murder case. I don't know if you heard the tapes where the friend was interviewed and was talking about the fact that she was pregnant, and that's part of the reason he wanted to murder her. 45% of women who are battered for the first time while pregnant. I just couldn't believe. I mean, there was something fundamental we tried to get at it within an hour. I'm not sure we accomplished it, but something's there that's very strong and very wrong.
The boys are beating up the girls in this culture. But
while pregnant for the first time.
I know.
Whee.
Which is the opposite of what brave men are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Which is what we are presuming to celebrate in this culture. Strong.
Yeah. And we assumed, and some of the audience members got to, there was a thing about control, which is what was involved there. Because on our show, we hate to just go through the routine. If you already know what we're going to go through in that hour, then there's no point in watching. Yeah. So we hope by the end you've learned something. But there was something about men and control and pregnancy and commitment.
Your child obviously has to be disciplined.
I'm sorry.
Anybody else? Just kidding. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think you're being paid comparable to men in your same fields?
I don't know. What does Phil make?
You might tell us.
Well, I don't have to.
You make as much as Phil, Sally?
Oh, I'm not as good as Phil.
Oh, that diplomat.
Sally. Now, wait a minute. That wasn't said that way, but you're talking about somebody who's been... Phil, you've done this show for 23 years.
It's remarkable for a 34-year-old guy.
It's amazing. Amazing. And I haven't changed a bit.
Not a bit.
I think, to answer your question directly, that sexism lives. I think, well, in some ways. In some ways.
I don't agree.
I think there are places where it doesn't.
I believe that in where we are now, there's parity. I think we are paid on a comparable level with men.
On all the jobs underneath.
On all the jobs underneath, absolutely not. No.
You see that two-tier salary system, if ever there was.
Everybody gets minimum wage, it seems.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a gal.
Hi, I'd like to know if any of you have children, and if you do, how you handled children in a career of such pressure.
You're looking at it not very well.
Not easily.
I took Melissa all over with me, and it was wonderful. Otherwise, don't have a child. Because the first commitment, once you have a child, is to the child, and the second, the speed of the career. And I just took my child with me. Why, this is great.
I just am not going to be Pollyanna or, you know, at CNN, everything is credibility. And I cannot tell you that because it's not so. I've been married for 33 years. There are a lot of marriages in a 33-year marriage. Some of them are good. And we have 2 children who are adults now, and I've worked out of necessity at the beginning and out of desire after that. And it's a juggling act, and I did the best I could, and I think that if you're there 24 hours a day, you do the best you can. Right. And I think we all make that decision and recognize we're not going to be perfect.